Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So on my last deck profile I did an update to my Super Heavy Samurai Vanquish Soul list. But by meaning update I mean I put in the Super Heavy Samurai engine because I wanted to test it out and see how the deck would perform post YCS Brazil, since it had a very significant showing and even made it to the finals. In my list, I am currently playing DD Crow and Skull Meister, and I brought up the discussion whether or not I should play Bestials. Shoutouts to Justin Mendiola. He has been on my comment section, like back and forth, like bringing up like why he dislikes Skull Meister. I figured making a video is a lot better than just making an in-depth discussion and just filling up the comment section. That way, a lot of points that I'm trying to come across can just be like shown and like more visualized, and at the same time, it's based in a video format. The first thing I want to say is nothing against Justin at all. I actually am super glad that my comment section is actually being sparked on bringing a discussion whether this card is playable or not, because the whole purpose of my channel is to be an educative channel. Like, if a player can come out of my video with like pondering upon a deck decision, deck choice, even if they disagree, that's perfectly fine with me. Like, as long as like there's new insight upon like perspectives and deck choices and how deck building comes, I like all power to whomever wishes to play differently from how I play it. My mainly when it comes to like my deck choices and my deck's abilities, I use my experience as a player as a priority, but I don't like hold it to like the most significant approach as or the most definite approach as how you should be playing your deck. But I am but I do see some trends that happen in the format, and it's good to analyze what's going to happen with certain tech cards or certain cards in a strategy, because if a deck is too popular, some cards might be effective against it, but you are probably thinking, are these cards just a one deck Andy, or is this card actually decent against other matchups? So, and that's why I'm making this video. So, the first thing that was brought up is that Skull Meister is not ideal to be played just because of Unchained, and I actually do agree with that. Like, just because Unchained is popular doesn't mean that Skull Meister should be in your main or side deck, just for that matchup. However, Unchained is going to rise up in popularity after this YCS, and I think like moving forward, finding more tech cards against it are very important, and Skull Meister is one of them. So for those who do not understand, because again, this was also brought up in my comment section, Skull Meister does indeed work against the self-destruction effects of the Unchained monsters. Because when an Unchained monster is destroyed, it doesn't matter where it was destroyed. What matters is where is the effect coming from. So let's take Unchained Twins Aruha for example. Let's say you are popping Aruha to special summon Sharvara, just to give like one example. The Aruha's effect to special summon another Unchained monster starts from the graveyard. The only exception would be if a card like Dimension Shifter or Kashtira Arise Heart or like Dimensional Fissure, Macrocosmos, etc. is being activated. Then it would not fall into the graveyard. That means the card will be activated from the Banished Zone. But since the effect is initially coming from the graveyard, like eliminating the variance out of those other cards, then Skull Meister does actually work against that effect, because the thing about Skull Meister is it has to recognize where the effect is coming from, and the effect of special summoning does come from the graveyard. Skull Meister also works against the Unchained Soul Lord of Yama, which is in contrast to Droll and Magnamut, because Yama's effect to bring back a Fiend monster does not target, and it banishes itself as a cost. Meaning that by the time Yama triggers, it's already late to DD Crow or to Bestial. You can make like the cognitive decision of like preemptively using a Bestial to banish the Yama before an effect that involves self-destruction resolves. However, like all you're doing is like playing yourself into other cards. You're like letting your opponent like change like a course of their strategy. So that's where Skull Meister comes in. Like if like they try to activate the Yama, you can just Skull Meister it, and you don't have to worry about whatever Yama is trying to summon. They wasted their Yama, and again, the Yama is being banished, but the effect started from the graveyard. So the Meister recognizes that, and that's very, very important. So let's talk about other decks, because I wouldn't be playing Skull Meister if it's just for Unchained, right? So Manadium is another deck that is an example of this. You have the Manadium Obsession that can banish itself from grave to special summon Visas or a 15 from your hand. And this effect does come up. Like, a lot of people don't think it does, but a lot of Manadium players actually do rely on this card resolving in order for them to extend with their combos ideally. You also have the Torrid and the Meek. I didn't put Fearless in here, but you can also put Fearless. There are other Unchained. There are other Manadium lines that involve like popping the spheres and doing their effects. And if you don't chain like block them properly, these cards could fold to the Skull Meister. So that's another note. Against the Rescue Ace deck, Rescue Ace Preventer, when it falls into the graveyard, the effect to special summon a banished Rescue Ace. Like, that effect comes up almost every game against this matchup. So just having a card that can just freeze that is also important. It also can stop Reinforce or Emergency from using their graveyard effects. This is going to come up less often than the Preventer does, but it does come up. And yeah, just having the utility for those cards is also helpful. Let's talk about Labyrinth. So at first glance, you're going to think, oh, well, it works against the IKEA furnitures. Why would I play Meister over something like Ghost Bell? Because Ghost Bell is another card that can fall into this discussion. So the thing about Skull Meister that can do instead of Ghost Bell is that the Skull Meister can stop the graveyard effect of both Welcome Labyrinths. And that also comes up. Like preventing Big Welcome to bouncing a card, or preventing the Welcome Labyrinth to resetting itself from the graveyard are two significant effects, and just having like a way to stop them is ideal. And you cannot stop either of these effects with Ghost Spell. You can preemptively DD Crow, but again, you're falling to a situation where you're just preemptively using a hand trap against a play that is not being predicated. And it makes your opponent easier to play around your cards or use their engine like accordingly. So let's talk about a matchup where this card is not ideal against. This card is not ideal against purely. Like, it can stop the Yeep from recycling from the graveyard, but that's about it. Like, it doesn't stop Pure Lily from activating. It doesn't stop it doesn't stop like Plump from attaching attaching cards in the graveyard. That's where like cards were like DD Crow come in. Like if you already see my Vanquish Soul list, you know I'm also maining DD Crow alongside Meister. And one of the main reasons for that is because this stops Pure Lily's effect. And Purely is still going to be a popular matchup, even with Unchained like winning the YCS. I think I think purely is a deck that you really have to respect, and like Diddy Crow is a card that works in contrast to like stuff like the Bestials. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to make this video because I feel like this is a lot easier than just like scrolling through the comment section and just like repeating back and forth like stuff that were brought up. Shout outs to Justin again. Thank you for like the feedback. I really do I really do highly appreciate it. And remember, like you don't have to agree with the effectiveness of Skull Meister. You don't even have to play this in your deck. Like, uh, like if you feel like the card's not ideal for you, one card that Justin brought up that could be played against Unchained is Phantasme, like that fantastical dragon. And this card is not bad at all. Like this card is effective against Unchained because they do link summon. However, against other popular decks like that we see in the format, this card is not as ideal. So like it's kind of a toss up whether or not you want to play a card like Phantasme. If you do play Bestials, I think playing Phantasme alongside them, like at least in the side deck, is not the worst idea ever. I think it's very very good. If you resolve this card versus Unchained, is it does give you an advantage because you are drawing more cards and you have a card that protects you from targeting, which is also ideal. But yeah, I feel like Skullmeister has just way more utility than something like Phantasme. But again, this is basically my opinion. Feel free to critique. Feel free to do more feedbacks. I don't mind it at all. The only thing I wish on my discussion videos is just to like keep it healthy and concise and respect any player's opinion when it comes to like their deck choices and how they deck build, because at the end of the day, one of the more fascinating things about this game is how differently players play their deck despite like things that are common trending like in the metagame. And sometimes doing that actually does help you in certain formats. Like just to give an example, Pac uploaded his Unchained list, and his Unchained deck played no hand traps in the main or the side deck. I will probably talk about that in a separate video. But yeah, like right now, that is a very bold choice, and probably not everybody's going to agree with what Pac did. But at the end of the day, it worked out for Pac, and he won the YCS. So that kind of goes to show you that not the most linear line of thinking when it comes to this game is like the best line of thinking. But with that being said, keep practicing and keep doing.